Do you want us to applaud?
Yes, please applaud. We've been missing the applause for 6 months. Applaud profusely.
Anything else?
It'll really help.
If any of the cables are like too close to the walkway, just be really careful if you need to move out of the way.
That would be really bad.
That one top camera stand is hanging on by a thread right now. Thank you. Thank you. Now, just
Our job is to.
applause is great.
That's like part of this, so we have a lot.
Bring our own little like keyboard with the fake audience.
Yeah, by the way, everyone, we're broadcasting from a historic house in Deerfield Beach, and we have a live audience in the room with us. It will be quiet until the moment when they produce the applause. So we'll have applause that will be like a quick track.
Do you guys need water or wine or?
Well, if you guys are more comfortable and you want the masks on while you're sitting,
Put the mask on now.
if you want to put them on, it's your comfort level. I mean, I pretty much can't put mine on because I'm constantly here. But there's a long interview that's going to play after we do the Myrna. So it's up to you, like how you're far enough away. But I have one right here.
Because Jewish time.
Yes, see, I got my blue. I have my blue mask to match you guys' dresses. Sure.
And I have all the colors.
I'm very like University of Florida today.
Uh-huh.
To you.
What?
Good health to you.
Good health?
Toasting. Good health. Judy, we're toasting good health.
Amy, I'm here, she said that we. I told her. Of course she can. Lock the door.
Me? I'm just not moving.
No, you're not, you're definitely not stuck with this position here.
You all look beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're fine, that's why I know the video to stop.
See, that didn't take long to get ready. Just threw your dress on.
Okay.
I know. Just had my hair back. And
Yeah, that's it. I always
Yes.
put my hair like that. I can't.
I haven't knotted. I don't know if my hair's long enough. Or it's supposed to slip down. So I know.
That was breakfast at Chicken East.
Should I stay unmuted?
I have a callus right here, so I can.
So that was.
I'll leave this one.
Okay. All right, we're about to go live, everyone. Turn your phones on. Project of Florida about a year and a half ago as we were planning our 9th season called Changing Our World, where all of the topics were linked to some kind of social justice issue. And we had chosen prison reform, so we were looking to reach out to your organization to kind of help us structure the program that we were going to do, which we performed in February of this year. We couldn't make it work, since you guys are in Tallahassee and we're in South Florida, to have anybody from the organization come. So we, continued talking with you guys and trying to come up with some kind of project that we could all do together, and that's how we ended up here on Wrongful Conviction Day.
That's great. So just so everybody understands what we're going to do today, which is so unique and so interesting, is Myrna and her chamber ensemble is going to perform a number of pieces for us today. And what's most interesting about it is that these pieces, and Myrna will describe it, are in many ways are inspired by stories that are important to Myrna, issues related to prison and social justice that in some ways connect to the stories of Innocence Project of Florida clients. And we're so lucky today that we're going to have 4 Innocence Project of Florida clients with us today. So Myrna, I was hoping maybe we could get started by you describing the first piece, and then I'll sort of explain who the person is that it connects to, and then we'll hear it.
Sure. So the first piece we're going to do is a tango, and it was written by Lucio Tamari, who wrote the music, and Omero Manzi, who wrote the lyrics. And I chose this piece to start off the program because I wanted to explain to everybody what my connection is to wrongful imprisonment. It goes back 4 generations in my family. So my grandfather, who was a doctor, when President Perón in Argentina rose to power, he started rounding up everybody that was against his government. And my grandfather was very outspoken, so he ended up wrongfully imprisoned in a secret prison. And my grandmother decided to go to law school so that she could figure out a way to get him out. It continues into the 2nd generation with my father. So I was born in Argentina, and I was born 2 months after the death of Perón. And the country was plunged into a terrible civil war. And my father was speaking out against, this new government, which was basically a military junta. And he found out one day that he was on a list of people that were going to be rounded up in the next couple of days. So my mother said, okay, we're packing up all our stuff and we're leaving. We're not taking any chances. We're not, she didn't want to have the experience that my father had had. She didn't want us to have that experience of growing up without our parents and growing up in poverty because our parents weren't there to earn a living. And so we basically packed up our things and left in the middle of the night and came to the United States and never looked back. But how that affected me is that I grew up without that extended family, and I grew up without really any connection to the culture in which I was born. And my parents lived in constant fear. They were in constant fear that somehow the government of Argentina would find us and would bring us back. And so we grew up very sheltered, and we grew up without really knowing why we were so sheltered. And going on to the 4th generation, so now I have 2 sons, and their father is one of the people whose parents were killed during that war, and who has no connection to his blood relatives because he can't find any blood relative. He was adopted by a family, and he knows nothing about his heritage. And that is now being passed on to my children. And I'm trying to break this cycle, and it's a very important issue, I think, for a lot of people who are in jail, is breaking the cycle and making sure that the generation that follows does not have the influence of whatever happened to the generation before. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, go for it.
No, please.
So I know we're going to be connecting this to one of my clients, Dean McKee. I'll just introduce him and you can maybe explain to us how it connects. Dean McKee was wrongfully convicted of a murder in Tampa that occurred in 1987. He was convicted with his brother, and it's this crazy story because his brother kind of threw him under the bus and framed him and helped him become wrongfully convicted so his brother could skirt responsibility. art studio located inside in Pinellas County, Florida. So I was hoping you can give us just a brief explanation about how Dean connects to your story for this kind of.
So there's actually two connections. There's that connection of the white supremacy, which is going to connect to the lyricist of the piece that I chose, because Homero Manzi was imprisoned around the same time as my grandfather, again for his political views. And a lot of what caused Dean to be wrongfully imprisoned was because people believed he had these views that were subversive. But also because he was basically a child when it happened, so it connects to my own story because I was also a child when all of this trauma was happening in my life. And that is why I selected this particular piece to go with Dean's story.
Great, so I think we're ready to hear it. You want to make your way over there and hear this wonderful piece?
Absolutely. Malena canta el tango como ninguna y en cada verso pone su corazón. Ayuya del soberbio, su voz perfuma. Malena tiene pena de bandoneón. Tal vez haya la infancia, su voz de alondra tomó ese tono oscuro de callejón. ¿O acaso aquel romance pone triste cuando se pone triste con el alcohol? Malena canta el tango como de sombra. Malena tiene pena de bandoneón. Tu canción tiene el frío del último encuentro. Tu canción ladra más de la edad del recuerdo. Yo no sé si tu voz es la flor de una pena. Solo sé que al rumor de tus tangos, Malena, te siento más buena que yo. Tus ojos son oscuros como el olvido, tus labios apretados como el rencor, tus manos dos palomas que sienten frío, tus venas tienen sangre de bandoneón, tus tangos son criaturas abandonadas que cruzan sobre el barro del callejón. Cuando todas las puertas están cerradas y ladran los fantasmas de la canción, Malena canta el tango con voz quebrada. Malena tiene pena de bandoneón.
I'm thinking that maybe the audience might wanna watch what's going on Facebook Live, so
Oh.
that they're not just sitting there.
We're okay.
You're okay? You don't wanna?
No, but if they have the audio on, then,
Oh,
Yeah,
They
the
might pick
stir
up
has
the
to have
audio.
good headphones.
But they can
because
stand over
it's
here
really-
and-
I mean, I thought we'd be able to see it or hear it.
are they recording this for us to share later?
We're
Like the
just what they
whole
call
webinar?
extras.
okay.
We're supposed to clap and,
I don't know
But,
how that-
yeah, you're doing a great job.
thank you.
I don't know how that-
But you, I
We've been
mean,
practicing all
Every
week.
piece is recorded, like, so.
that was great practice.
No, we understand.
You understand what's going on, right?
Yeah, cause the next,
And then it's not easy.
well, I can just tell everybody it's happening. It's right.
That would be good. And can you tell your story? Or is it too much?
No, I can tell it.
Yeah.
My lipstick back on.
Or the rest of it. Were you able to hear?
Yes, you could hear.
But I could hear, but they couldn't hear.
Oh, okay.
We could hear.
She said that they could.
We
Oh,
could.
they did?
Oh, are you able to hear me when I'm over there?
Did you
Projecting
hear?
what?
I was in the wrong key,
Oh, okay.
but then it was fine.
I know.
almost was like,
I was
should
a
we
half
do it
step
first
off.
now?
No,
That's
no, it's
okay.
I mean, I normally just like have the horn right, I didn't want the horn here, and I
You
put
did
it over
lovely.
here, I just had to, and I was
She
like.
did, we adjusted.
You did lovely.
And,
That was
well, that's the thing, like, I hear off by half step because the horn corrects, so I
It's okay.
can't fix it,
What
because,
makes it right is if you have your soul in it, you know that.
I know,
And
but
your
I,
soul-
you know,
and your soul is in it, so it's
I
sort.
wanted it to be the right.
It's just
Well,
sort.
why don't we do it as an encore? We'll do it again at the end. Well, we need an encore, so maybe for people like.
It's a long time to sit without having a pitch in your head, you know,
Yeah.
like, that's the problem, that's why I did it at the end, so I could give myself the pitch. But I needed to start with it because I wanted
You're
people to
probably
understand
the
why,
only person who knows that.
I'm sure, but I know.
I mean, the instrumental could just come in like, no, we meant to modulate. It was just like, that's why it's vocal,
I
then
was just gonna
instrumental.
turn,
We
I
just-
have a little key here that goes zzz. I
It's
knew-
quite beautiful.
I knew that when we came in, you would hear where you
Yeah,
should
no,
be.
I
and you
knew
just
too, and I
adjust.
knew I was pretty sure when I started
Must
singing
be
that I
dark
was
close,
a
though.
half step up.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I was like, shoot, I'm a half step up. I'm like, okay, well I can't just like slowly flatten myself.
But we can hear the flute now.
It's good
Now
now,
it's better
right?
balanced, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Better balanced.
You can always use a pitch pipe also, I mean, nobody.
Oh, but I can tell you Dean's story. I can tell you because I did the interview with him, so that's what everybody's watching right now is the interview. So he was because he was a child. His brother was older. His brother was old enough, you know, to be
Yeah.
like put in jail for life. So he basically said, "You're going to take the fall for it because they'll give you a lighter sentence," and they gave him, you know, life.
What was the cause of it? I'm sorry,
It was a murder, and it was actually their mother that turned them in.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he spent 30 years in jail for
That's
something he
horrible.
didn't do, starting from the age of 15.
Wow.
And he learned he's a tattoo artist. He's an incredible visual artist. You'll get to see, hopefully, some of his work, because I have it on the computer so I can show you. But he's a tattoo artist. He has a tattoo shop. And so one of the things that he talked to me about is how people come to him to get a tattoo because they survived something and they want it like imprinted on themselves to say, you know, like whatever it was, I survived it and it's there. And he said, you know, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Right.
After 4 hours of tattooing on somebody to see their face light up when they see, you know, Brandon on my shoulder is what I've survived and it's going to be with me forever. I mean, it was beautiful. Like we were all in tears at the end of the interview. Well, the interview was actually like 45 minutes, and they're like, and the Innocence Project people are like, we're gonna have to cut it down, even though it's a great interview, you know. So it was just incredible, incredible how just positive. And all 4 of these exonerees are just so positive. They're so happy. Not a single one was bitter, not a single one. You know, Dean said to me, he's like, if I want an orange, I can just eat an orange. You know, and like it's such a powerful statement. And I was like, if I want an orange, I just go buy an orange. But, you know, 30 years in prison, like your whole life practically in prison, you can't eat what you want. You can't go anywhere. He's like, you know, to feel the breeze on my face, you know, like it was just amazing. And the artwork is so happy. It's, you know, it's still lifes, it's flowers, it's, you know, I mean, he told me that in order to make paint, he would like take the glaze off of like candies and paint, you know, to get like red paint to paint a rose. because he didn't have, couldn't get the supplies, because he had none of his family was coming to see him or help him or, give him stuff. And he's just the kindest, just most humble, just an incredible human being. And it was shocking. I had no idea, like, when I first met all these exonerees, I was like, I don't know, I wonder, is someone gonna be angry? I didn't know how people would feel, but it was just amazing how happy they are to be out. That they're not looking back saying, what a horrible experience. They're just like, thank God it's over. And now I have a life, and they're living their lives to the fullest. And they tell me from the Innocence Project, they're like, yeah, they age backwards once they get out, because everybody looks so young. And when they tell me how old they are, I'm like, God, you look good.
Does he do anything on canvas, or everything is done on tattoo? Or is this
Well, he's a visual artist. But he owns a tattoo shop, so that's primarily what he does. But he's an incredible artist. Oh my God, it's amazing the work that he does.
Especially what you're doing, what you're doing.
30 years
I'm
of
happy to
training. We have nothing else to do, and that's what they all have in common. They're all artists of some kind, and it was the art that got them through the experience. That's what
Did you
connects them
go
all.
over to the West Coast and interview him?
No, I did all of them through Zoom.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's
and that's the
amazing.
problem, is that some of them have bad connections, so we didn't want to try to do it all live and, have it fall apart. That's why we
sort
ended
of
up
amazing,
recording.
you walked in at 15 years old as kids, 30 years later to walk out and see what's happened to the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the change,
Wow.
Drastic.
It's terrible. Yeah.
That's
Just
amazing.
imagine, I mean, we're living through the coronavirus, 6 months that we're stuck inside. Can you imagine all that time? I mean,
I
my
know.
goodness.
Yeah.
Did his family ever come around after?
I mean, he
He
still
was
doesn't
exonerated?
really have a good relationship with his family. I mean, I would not be able to forgive. If he has forgiven them, I don't think I could do
It's
that.
horrible.
I don't know. I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time
Especially
to
if
have
they rejected him when he was in.
yeah.
That's when you would need them most.
And his brother never went to jail, even though he was exonerated. The brother still never went to jail for what he actually did, which is
Could
murder
he?
someone.
Could he or not? At this point, what are the rules?
Well, I mean, the conviction was overturned, so double jeopardy doesn't attach for him. But I just don't know what the statute of limitations on murder is off the
So
top
how
of my
long
head.
did they work on it to get him out?
So I mean, he appealed a couple of times on his own, and then reached out to the Innocence Project, and then they were able to finally get
Now,
him.
I've been watching this thing on, I think it's on Netflix, Cold Cases.
Mhm.
Bloody amazing how far back they can go and, to find the people that caused this like 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they now are much older than the people who really committed the crimes. To go back that far, because technology today the DNA is just amazing.
That's true.
How people can find out today, so it's,
And could you imagine if you did something like, just made a big mistake and then you lived your whole life, you have grandchildren, you've been a good contributor to society, and then, you've kind of moved past it and they're like, you dug this up from 30 years ago, now you have to pay for the crime that you did, and you're a totally different person. I've seen that in those cold case files, and you almost feel like, man, just at this point, really? If they haven't committed another crime, like, guilt served, I don't know, it's very conflicting.
But they did it and they got away with it for that much time.
I know,
They
that's
should
such a
serve.
shock to the family and everybody else. It's good closure for the family, like the
Yeah,
victims, but then it becomes like you victimize a whole new set of people, and
But the
get
cold
justice.
cases, I mean, a lot of these people disappeared and we never found them, except then they start finding, and unfortunately how they found them. This last one I watched yesterday was horrible. Absolutely, it's just awful. But they finally caught this person, and he committed like 10 murders.
Oh, no, see, that's
All
a
these
shame.
people, all these ladies were missing for all those years.
No,
But the families today, if the parents are still alive, could really appreciate that they,
for sure.
We're so blessed we don't have any of that to deal with.
FYI.
What, are they commenting?
They're just talking to each other. They're like, Seth, is there a bunch of cookies behind you?
I can't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you. What were you saying?
Oh, FYI, in Deerfield Beach, we have a woman who owns a lab, DNA Labs International, and it's the largest privately held lab in the country, and it's the only privately held lab run by a woman. And, she works with police departments, but they have solved cases, they've gotten DNA of dug up bones that the LA lab couldn't get.
Wow.
And right here in Deerfield.
Wow,
Her
that's
husband
great.
was,
Phenomenal,
her
phenomenal.
husband was a lab guy for BSO, and she knew about all the backlog of cases. So she said, honey, we can do this. And they started the lab 25 years ago, and it's phenomenal.
Wow.
It's
That's
phenomenal.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's
So,
doing all over the
Innocence
world.
Project ever needs,
I
but
like
they
that.
do,
Well, I'll
she does.
I'll tell my ex-husband, maybe he can find his family and let us know why.
Oh, you know what, and I have a friend who's a private investigator, and that's what she does, she finds lottery winners now, but she specializes in finding people,
Wow.
that's a
That's
lot,
cool.
yeah.
But Kirsten's also, I think it's all over the world, but she gets samples from people.
Oh, yeah, the DNA person is,
I've never done that.
she's FBI certified, all that stuff, and she's here in Deerfield.
Oh, good, you do background checks on all the people I'm dating online. 'Cause I'm trying to. I'm looking them up.
So you're saying you had never done that, like you haven't done a DNA check for yourself or done any like ancestry?
Yeah,
.com
well, she
stuff.
says, the 1, 2, 3, is it ancestry?
23 and
Ancestry.
me. I did that one.
Yeah, she said that one is the best
Is it?
of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah.
My
What
sister,
happened to you?
So that was nice.
What happened
Oh.
to you? What is your ancestry?
Mine?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm mostly English and Irish and Italian, so I'm European basically.
European.
And it's interesting because we went on tour last summer. It was my first time there, and I felt like I belonged. I really did.
Aw,
Yeah.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful.
So,
My
And
s-
have you guys known each other a long time?
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, we've been playing
Well,
together
we-
for 10 years.
We've known each other since we were in high school.
Oh,
We
wow.
crossed
We've known of
paths.
each other since we were in high school.
and we have a lot of mutual
Yeah,
friends.
just 10 years
and
ago.
like, how do you know this person? How do you know that person? Like, oh,
We
we
know
went to
all the
school,
same
we did
people.
this.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
But they've been
Fun.
performing together a long
Yeah,
time.
since the
That's
beginning.
nice.
But I met Myrna because she taught my son how to play the horn.
Oh, very good. And we want to get, Ellen's very interested in coming up. And
Ah.
so Judy, who was here, that's her good friend, and then I met her through Ellen's Swillage.
Right.
So, Ellen said, film something tonight, so
Okay.
so I can see, and she's really anxious to come up and yeah, she's a nice person.
She's lovely.
We've both spoken with
Yeah.
her on the phone.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's
yeah,
lovely.
good,
Yeah.
Good, recently, or?
I spoke to her during the pandemic,
Oh,
but
okay.
I would say maybe 2 months in, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Lovely.
And did you speak about?
Well, we're trying to get her to write us a piece. We just can't afford her, especially now.
Okay, did she connect you with the Butler House though?
I think you met her at the Butler House at a party, didn't you?
No.
You
No.
met.
No, I met her. I just got her information through Judy.
How much does it cost?
Oh.
Oh, it's like $3,000 a minute.
No, I know it's 4,000. 4,000.
Yeah.
4,000 for what?
Yeah.
For
I
one
mean,
minute
1
of
minute.
music.
For 1 minute of music, yeah. I mean, it's way over what we can afford at this point, considering we don't really know.
If we can get you guys together, might there be a little camaraderie?
Sure.
We could try it.
Yeah,
We can try.
definitely.
Yeah, she's one of the most famous composers in the
Yeah.
world.
Just a friend of
So-
Judy's,
Well, then we will
she's
do
a
it.
Pulitzer Prize.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Who would do it?
I mean, we're an all-female ensemble. She's a living female composer. We're always commissioning new works. And
And she's got
And you're a
great stories.
nonprofit,
yes,
so the federal grants should be cool for that.
if we could get any.
It's a lot of work, a lot of back end work, and she ends up doing all the writing, all the follow up reports.
That's what I say.
Well, I mean,
Mommy's a grant writer.
That's what I do for the Historical
Yep.
Society.
So
But we
maybe
can
Awesome.
collaborate on
you
good
could chat.
songs.
that'd be great. I know
Yeah, I'm working on
Ellen said
collaborating.
that she would love to write us a woodwind quintet
Who did?
because Ellen,
Ellen, good. Woodwind Quintet.
Woodwind Quintet, that's 5 people, and I don't know if you're musicians, so I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
I'm a flute player, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I
And a
didn't know
singer.
that.
More of a
Oh,
singer than a flute
cool.
player.
Do you still play?
I do not play anymore. It's been about 4 years.
Oh, you should play.
I know I should get it back, but I'm more of a singer, more of a performer.
Awesome.
Both great instruments.
I think it was meant that we were all,
Oh, I think so.
that would be here tonight.
Always. That's the way it works.
It's, it's so nice to be out. I haven't been out in 6 months. I've only gone out twice, I think we performed. Otherwise,
4.
I'm in the house.
4 times you've been.
Yeah.
4? Oh,
Yeah.
4 times.
We
So
have to be
5
so
times.
careful right now. I mean, really, we all have
Yeah.
to be so careful.
Hmm.
And we haven't had a live audience since February or March?
No,
March.
we
We
did.
didn't even get to do March, we
March-
canceled.
No, we-
March 13th.
We did
played.
we did a concert that morning, and we were on our way to the 7 concert, and they got canceled.
Yeah,
So
'cause I know it closed down like the night before we were supposed to do some
Hmm.
serious.
Right.
Very bizarre
Okay.
playing to a camera and a computer.
It really
There's
is.
no feedback, there's no, like,
Yeah.
we're still in the moment, we're still playing, but we're like, there's no energy on
Well,
the other
fun-
end.
The fun part of that though, is that you can consider your best possible audience.
That's right.
And that's where the fun comes in. Cause then you can really do some kind of energy
Well,
stuff
we
going.
can do something at Butler too,
We need Butler 2 need, well, not Butler 2, the cultural center needs air conditioning and internet.
But by the end of the month, that's gonna be done, so.
I
well,
was
good because we
watching
have a
the
concert
video.
scheduled there
Yeah,
in
we do.
November.
I know. Yeah, and we'd like to film that concert, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, we're gonna live stream it anyway,
Okay, good.
regardless of whether we have people or we
Okay,
don't have
good.
people.
Yeah.
We're still, I mean, we've been live streaming everything for the past 2
Yeah, you're
seasons, so.
doing good. I was like, oh, you got you get everything that you need other than some lighting. You probably need some lighting,
No, this is fine.
but still, it turned out really
Better
nice.
to not see all the wrinkles in the gray hair. Okay, I'm not getting too close to the camera.
Actually, this is our 6th time performing. Because we did Miramar. We performed 2 live concerts in Miramar without
Oh,
an
in
audience.
June.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
it
like a
was
like
very
a
strange.
complete concert hall, empty, with just
Empty.
us on the stage.
Yeah.
My husband in the back trying to manage cameras, phones, devices, like he's my
Oh, good for
techie.
him. Is he the one that put together the system? Cause he did a
No,
good
I
job.
did.
You did?
I did,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
He actually got me the little itty bitty tripod
Uh-huh.
because of this recording, it has a microphone attached to it, so I won't know what the quality of it is like until after the
Afterwards,
show, cause I was afraid to do, I mean, hopefully it all comes out, but then she's got her video camera, so regardless, we're gonna get the audio and the visual,
Right.
and that usually records really well, high definition, and then my phone is connected to the conference so that they can actually see us live,
Nice.
but it's muted, so I can't videotape on mine. And usually that little ring of fire is lit up, but it would blind us, and I didn't plug it in to turn on, cause that would actually give us some
that would
light
be
if we were
that would be
closer.
your lighting.
Oh.
Cause when I was trying to tape it, I noticed that it was very, very dark, so I thought, oh shoot, I don't know if I can fix that, but.
Well, yeah, I guess if you did flash, it's just the room, but it looks like, it looks
It looks
nice
fine.
on the computer.
Okay, good.
The lighting is good, it's really
It
well,
always
like in
amazes
general,
me.
the light is very balanced.
Yeah, it always amazes me how things turn out like so much better than you think they are, and it's like, great.
Right.
But if you are gonna, what kind of phone is it?
I just got a regular old phone, I'm not anything special.
Oh,
But we've been
Alright,
working with.
5-minute warning, everyone.
Okay,
okay.
we've been working with a videographer, and
Oh.
I've learned so much from him, oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I just discovered something new on the iPhone, and I don't know if you know this, we had to do a bunch of recordings this summer, so Myrna could piece together our children's programs, because we couldn't come together, and you can't live stream something at the same time because of the lag in the videotaping.
Right.
So I did all my recording, and I submitted all my videos, and then this week, I did a recording for the Greater Miami Symphonic Band, and the person that's combining all of it says, oh, you need to save it as a 16.9 resolution.
What
And
does
I'm
that
like,
do?
what is that? She goes, oh, that's high definition mode. I'm like, I thought my phone already did high definition mode,
I'm
like
gonna write that
automatically. There's a setting. I had to go in and change
Oh,
it
better
so
write that
that
down.
it crops the scene more and it
16.9.
makes it more vivid. I'm still
Alright.
learning stuff. It's never
It
ending.
is amazing.
Never ending. So yeah, when we're done with this video, I would have to go into the little dots, change it to 16.9, and then it'll go to like 1080 high definition for the YouTube.
Right.
channel, and it would take away all the graininess and any fuzziness that might come up.
That's pretty cool.
1080 makes sense. I've
Well,
heard of that.
1080, yeah,
That's
it's like
what
780,
it is.
1080.
Right.
So the iPhones have it, you have to just change the resolution to 16:9, and then it makes it a better quality video.
Yeah, Jeff was
Cool.
called.
So I'm always willing to learn new things.
But it's pretty cool with technology. I've been teaching online since before COVID.
Oh, no, I never did it.
No, I had to. So I was teaching online and also in private, and now all of us are just teaching online. And I think it's a great experience.
It's wonderful because
Yeah.
it gives people options. And if you want the arts to grow, you gotta have options.
Right.
Because not everybody can personally be there or have the financial wherewithal to actually do that.
I mean, I think the only difficulties I've seen with doing things like live streamed is the fact that you don't get income. Like some people, you can ask for donations, like we've been doing
Oh.
all of our stuff free,
Right.
where normally we would charge
But
a
you
ticket.
can though.
But we
You
get-
can charge.
Right, but then it's only a handful of people, they would rather just not,
Right.
participate. It's like, why am I paying to watch it in my house? I'd rather go pay at a hall.
Right.
So the fees have been really reduced. For the ones that were charging $40, $50, now they're like, oh, watch this for $15. So
Right.
even they're taking a revenue cut.
Right, that part is hard.
And that's part of our budget, which is part of the grant writing and funding. You say you're gonna pay, charge $15, now we're like, oh, sorry, it's zero. But at least we're active.
Right.
It's a killer,
That's true.
killer.
I mean, the times are really tough, without a doubt. The arts are, as usual.
My heart sympathizes for Broadway. All those actors,
know.
dancers, stage crews, tech crews,
My
To
son
be
was
totally-
subbing on Broadway, and
to be shut down
yeah,
completely.
nothing now. But what really broke my heart is the Met.
Yeah,
That is
the
like
Metropolitan
killing me.
Opera, a year.
1 year of not
How hard is
playing.
it to get those
It's
seats,
more
to
than a
be
year,
a
though.
principal
Isn't it more
player? Or to even get in the orchestra or on stage, and then that's it, on to your next thing.
They had to move in with their parents. I mean, horrible things that they had to do.
No, I know, my heart beats for that too. It's been, the art, and they have tried. I mean, a lot of funding organizations and such have tried to send money out there to artists and to individuals and to Broadway and to, they do have their donors and they do have those kind of things. The Florida CARES Act, they took care of people.
Right.
So and I know that they have the savvy to do that, so they shouldn't have had any problems as far as maintaining themselves. As far as really doing productions, no, but as far as keeping their staff together.
The other thing they do with Hamilton, they film Hamilton, the same crew that they had to do the shows. Some of the Broadway shows, they should have done that immediately.
Right.
This way,
And they
there'd
probably
be so
did.
much, they could sell this,
Yeah, but they
it's
didn't know.
not paid extra to get Disney Plus, 'cause I never had it before in my life, just like see Hamilton, my stupid television set, instead of see it on TV, but it was well worth it.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
we've watched it
love
over and
that.
over
I
again.
know.
It was
I
just
love
so-
it.
If they
Amazing.
did that to more of the Broadway shows, can you imagine these people still have income coming in?
Right. Okay.
All right.
Speak about it,
Myrna, so glad we had an opportunity to talk to Dean. I wanted you to maybe take us now through the second piece, explain to us what it is.
So the second piece we chose was a piece by French composer Eric Satie. He's a very eccentric French composer. And, for example, Only Ate White Foods. He might have actually enjoyed some time in prison, bread and water. But actually it was more like oysters and cheesecake. And wrote music that was very much unlike his very kind of flamboyant personality, as you're gonna hear in just a moment. But I chose him for this particular pairing because at the premiere of one of his works, Paladina Ballet, a fight broke out at the end. And this isn't the first time in music history that a fight has broken out at the premiere of a classical music concert, if you can imagine that. But he got in the middle and was sort of pushing people apart and trying to stop the fighting, and he was arrested for inciting the fight. And what they said was that he was trying to get more people to come to his, very strange performance, and that he, caused a fight so that it would kind of go viral in its day and bring more people to hear the ballet. So he spent several weeks in jail before he was able to convince people that he had nothing to do with it, and that, he really didn't care if people came to see his works, because he understood that they were a little bit outside of the genre. So I connected this with Bill Dillon because he was sort of, like in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just looked like he, was involved in something that he didn't really do. And that's the connection that I put between these two pieces.
I want to just tell everyone a little bit about Bill Dillon before we hear the piece. Bill was wrongfully convicted of a murder in Brevard County, Florida. The murder took place in 1981. It was the murder of a gentleman on a beach, and Bill wasn't there. And yet the police, they concocted prosecution again. They used a fraudulent dog handler and a star witness who had a sexual relationship with the lead detective, a jailhouse informant, some other really
if your music is reflective of your emotions and is an expression of you.
It's reflected a certain period of time of me. I'm not so sure that I have a true reflection yet, but it's definitely a reflection of a period of time in my life. Wrongful Conviction was easy enough to create some sort of a musical piece to. It just comes naturally because it comes out as a version of sorrow and sadness, but at the same time there's victory in it.
So I sing for myself. My ex-husband, several years before we divorced, told me that I should not sing in public, that I was not good at singing tango, and that I just didn't do it the same way everyone else did. So it took a long time before I got back onto that stage to sing comfortably. It was actually last season that I finally got up on stage and decided to just do it. And I told myself, I'm singing for me, that this isn't for the audience, that this isn't for anyone else but me. Is that kind of the experience that you had with music, especially in prison?
That is correct. And you sang that beautifully. I really enjoyed the tango. But that is correct. I sing for me. I do sing to be heard, but not thinking I will be.
I've also heard that materials inside a prison are difficult to get to, so was there anything interesting that you had to use in order to write your lyrics?
Originally I wrote Black Robes and Lawyers on toilet paper. I had a little rubber band and toilet paper. Everything else was taken from me at that point in the prison time. I was being isolated at that point. Yeah, there's many things. Everything's tough in prison to get. At least way back in the 80s. It might be different now. I think they're getting computer pads or stuff now. I don't know. But it was tough back then.
I can see a guitar behind you there. When did you learn to play guitar?
I learned in prison. I learned to play guitar in prison. It was quite a little purpose. I actually helped create a little band program in the prison I was in. And some of the guys that knew how to play already actually said, Bill, we'll help you learn. They taught me how to play, and I ended up taking over the band room and checking out guitars because we were allowed to come and get them like 6 acoustics during the daytime during our recreation period.
So when you write a song, what comes first, the lyrics or the music?
They come differently. Sometimes it's, and most of the time, I'm going to say 75 to 80% of the time it's lyrics. But there is a couple songs I've written that I wrote the music to and then just wrote lyrics to the music if you see it fit.
I also understand that you formed an exoneree band. Can you tell me a little bit about how that came about?
The exoneree band has been going for a few years now. We're all men have been exonerated in the states, Ohio, California, Missouri, Florida. And it came about as a talent contest. Every year there's a get together to have all the exonerated individuals
you doing now, musically speaking?
Right now, I'm just writing. It's always the way it is. I can't really get too much very much into it. I'm just playing around, writing, learning as many songs as I can, like cover songs that I really like and stuff like that. But I'm still writing. I'm still writing different tunes and stuff like that. I just want to write a tune that maybe somebody can sing and go out there with.
And are you more connected to your lyrics or to the music that you write?
I'm more connected to the lyrics, but I do like a good riff, or I do like a good progression, chord progression. I'm connected to the lyrics, yes.
I don't know if you know, but I teach music theory in ear training at Broward College, so I'm connected to a good riff and a chord progression too.
Music theory?
Yes.
I read books, that's how I got started in Florida State Prison. I read music theory before I even knew how to play anything. I was reading music theory books, and I just seemed to know what was going on with it. I mean, I didn't take right away, but I read music theory books, and I thought it was amazing to the time, and I just understood it.
That's amazing. You'll have to come and talk to my students someday and tell them that they're gonna be okay once they learn that theory, that everything will get easier from there, because they're a little panicked right now.
You know, you can play by ear, but music theory is definitely the knowledge. You know, without music theory, you just don't know where you're going, right? But there's many people in the industry right now today that don't know music theory at all. They can play by ear and just, okay, play this.
Definitely sharing that with my students. I understand that you've performed in conferences for exonorees. What is that like?
Oh, it's amazing. When exoneree performs, we normally perform for a group of people that help get people released from prison, like the Florida Project, the New York Project, and all these projects get together once a year. And we're the last thank you to these people for doing what they do all through the year. And we just have a big to do, you know, and we just have enjoyment and just have fun. And to us, that's really what it's all about. It's about just giving back to them and just letting them have fun and do whatever. Just try to make a good moment and just say thank you.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's been an honor getting to know you, and I've had an opportunity to hear some of your music, which is fantastic, and the lyrics even more so. It's something that I've never been able to do, is write my own song, but something that I'm looking to do in the future, and I'll definitely be using your songs as a model. Thank you so much for speaking with me today, Bill.
Thank you, Myrna. Thank you for my song. It was very beautiful. I've definitely heard it a few times now, and I really, really like it. I was actually trying to put some words to it as you were playing it. Thank you very much for your time, and happy to hear it. It was a great pleasure.
And now I'll pass it back over to Seth.
Okay, so Myrna, we're going to have you introduce our third piece now, and I think we'll hear that piece, and I think you have a special presentation, so I'll turn it over to you to take it all away.
Okay. One of the missions of the South Florida Chamber Ensemble is to promote equality through the arts. So we've in the past couple of seasons tried to give equal time to different types of composers. So equal time to composers that are mostly marginalized, that would be African American composers, female composers, composers from outside of Europe, so that would mean American composers. And we wanted to do that on this program as well. So we have a piece that's not connected to an exoneree that we want to play for you, and then we're going to do a little presentation of our annual prize. So Thelonious Monk was an African-American jazz composer, and he worked in clubs because that's all he could do at the time. He was arrested twice. The first time was for possession of marijuana, and the second time was for riding in a car with a white woman. And one day he was in the car with a friend of his, Buddy, who was also a jazz musician who had been, beaten by the police so much that he, stuttered a little bit and was a little bit slow. And Buddy had in his possession some heroin, so when the police came upon their vehicle, he tried to throw it out the window, but his motor skills weren't such that he was able to get it out, and it landed at Monk's feet. And he turned to his friend, Thelonious, and said, "Please don't tell him it's mine." So he refused to say anything. No one in the car owned up to having the heroin, but Monk was arrested for possession of heroin, and he never gave up his friend. And so he protested his innocence the entire time he was incarcerated, and as a result of that third offense, he was no longer allowed to perform in bars. His cabaret card was revoked. So it negatively affected his ability to continue his career and to have gainful employment. So we're going to play one of his most famous works, which is called Around Midnight by Thelonious Monk.
Thank you.
we also try to play a little bit of music outside of the classical realm if we can. A little jazz every now and then is fun. So 3 years ago, we were going through a bit of a transition as an ensemble, and I instituted what we now call the Light Prize. And the idea behind the Light Prize was to find every season an artist, an established artist, that was really at the top of their game, but also whose art was based on emotion, and that who was using that art to make positive change in the world. And it has been transformative over the past 2 years. Our first winner was the international jazz flutist, Nestor Torres, and it's the reason why we started playing jazz. We did a concert with him for Mother's Day that included quite a bit of jazz, and it was fine, we were comfortable, we thought, why are we not doing this all the time? Our Light Prize winner last year was the actor Tobias Menzies. You might know him from The Crown, which is about to come back on in November. Also Game of Thrones and Outlander. He is an incredibly humble person, and he's one of the most expressive actors I've ever seen. Just his face, just the control he has over the muscles of his face, amazing. And we had an opportunity to meet him while we were on tour in London last summer. And he was just so thrilled to get this prize from this tiny little unknown organization in the middle of nowhere, Florida. And it was amazing to have that feeling from someone that we look up to so much. So this season, we wanted to choose an American artist because our season is called America. It's our 10th anniversary season. And we wanted to pick an American artist of some art form. And we looked at a lot of different artists, a lot of different art forms. And our Light Prize winner for this year exhibits all of the same qualities that we've had in the past with our winners. Incredibly humble, thoroughly kind, an amazing artist, and then taking that art and using it to transform people's lives. So it gives me great pleasure to be able to give the South Florida Chamber Ensemble 2020-2021 season Light Prize to Dean McKee. When I met Dean, it was just, I couldn't believe how just humble he was. When I saw his artwork, it's incredible. Hopefully you're seeing it on the screen now. Just amazing what he can do. And he's completely unassuming about the talent that he has and the ability that he has. But it wasn't just that. He has just a zest for life. He's happy, so happy to be out of prison, that everything is beautiful to him. And that's the epitome of what art is. Art is taking something ugly and making it beautiful. And he's living embodiment of taking an ugly experience and turning it into something absolutely beautiful. But I have to also share, he's our first tattoo artist, and we don't discriminate against different art forms. Every art is art for us. But he told me that when he does tattoos, a lot of times people come to him having suffered a trauma and overcame it and wanted to put that on their body, wanted to be a living embodiment to the fact that they survived whatever it was that they survived. And he told me a story of how after 4 hours of working on a tattoo, that he would just see the joy in a person's face when they have that badge that says, I survived this and I'm moving on with my life. Just his ability to transform people's lives every day as a tattoo artist, I thought was incredibly amazing. So one more time, a round of applause for visual artists and tattoo artists. Seth, you're muted still.
Yeah, that happens every call, every meeting we have. Somebody does it once, so
Beethoven. So Beethoven was wrongfully imprisoned because of his appearance. If you know anything about Beethoven, he's famous for his hair, which is past, World Hair Day, and his sort of crazy hair and his disheveled appearance. He really never cared about what other people thought of him. So he would come out looking a little scruffy at times, and of course he was deaf, so when people talked to him he wouldn't answer because he didn't hear them. So he was picked up one day for vagrancy and put into jail for several days until he could convince them that he was actually, one of the world's most famous composers. He's one of the first composers to be fully famous during his lifetime, except people didn't know what he looked like. They just knew the name Beethoven. But like a couple of other wrongfully imprisoned composers, he wrote about it through his music. So the piece that we're going to play is called Fidelio. It's his only opera, and it is set in a prison where a man is wrongfully imprisoned, and his wife dresses like a man to get a job there, and the warden's daughter falls in love with her, thinking it's a him. And so the piece of music that we're going to do, Mir ist so wunderbar, is actually a quartet where all four of the characters are singing at the same time, and it's the girl saying how much she loves this new person working there, and then the warden saying, I'm going to make sure that man marries my daughter because she's in love with him, and then she's saying, oh my goodness, I managed to get a woman to fall in love with me when I'm trying to get my husband out of jail, and then the husband is like, yay, my wife's here, she's going to break me out of jail, right? So it's really funny, but it was just released at a very bad time. It was during the Napoleonic Wars, and nobody really wanted to go see an opera about war when war was what they were living. So I connected Beethoven to our next exoneree because of the way that they looked. So they were both sort of, guilty because they looked guilty, because they looked like somebody who might commit a crime, as opposed to, looking past what you see in front of you to the person that's inside. And as you're going to see, when you meet the next exoneree, the person on the inside is an incredibly warm person, not at all like Beethoven. So here is Beethoven's Mir ist so wunderbar from the opera Fidelio. exonorees, because eventually she not only gets her husband out, she gets the warden put in jail.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Very nice.
Yeah. So are we the loudest four people audience you ever had?
You're the best. You should be part of our fan club.
We are.
Take
Good.
it everywhere.
So do you do some Benny Goodman as well?
Oh man, if it's written out, I can't just like wing it or just whip it out of thin air. I've never been good at that. My students that try to do it, I love it because I'm like, oh, I wish I were that free. And that enabled, because I guess I just developed a fear of it, always being drilled to not make a mistake. And in classical training, it's like exactly as written, it's very precise. And nowadays they integrate a lot of jazz, band, a lot of my clarinetists transfer to saxophone. So they're getting all of their exposure. I play trombone. We didn't improvise. I played third trombone in jazz band.
Oh,
So
trombone, just do this.
yeah, it's like bump, 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 bump. Like it had its own little built-in thing, but to just wing it, no. So I encourage all my students to do it because I'm like, don't ask me to do it, but you guys, you rock.
Have you heard of Marcus?
Marcus Howell.
How?
Marcus Howell.
Yeah.
He's a young boy here in Deerfield Beach, young guy, African American gentleman, and he plays the sax. Right?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
And this kid's amazing. He's played with what's his name in New York?
Oh wait, the backstory is, when we were doing the art festival, Marcus, can you play the national anthem? Okay, this 12-year-old kid would come over, then this 13, 14, 15, he'd come to Kiwanis, he'd come to Rotary,
Yeah.
and he went to Dillard, and then he went to Michigan, and,
Michigan State, yeah.
Yeah.
He's played with what's the
Oh,
famous?
Wynton Marsalis?
Exactly.
Yeah.
no,
Exactly.
and Count Basie,
Yeah, Count Basie. He's got
Now
scholarships.
he's 35.
yeah. And we just did a concert
Now
at
he
the
just got
house.
engaged. The kid.
Yeah.
Our little kid just got engaged.
He came back,
I mean, I bet he's
so
he's
nice.
comfortable in the jazz arena.
Oh, he's
So it's not. I mean,
You
it's
know,
like
you know,
sometimes
the
you have to
Kiwanis-
pick a house.
They're gonna go on his luncheons and he'll play for us.
Yeah,
It's like,
he
he
was
just
sweet.
he loves it. Just loves it.
Yeah.
And we love him. To see a little young man how he's
Yeah.
grew up to it. That's fabulous. Fabulous.
No, I'm fascinated by it, but I'm like, okay, whatever you just played, if you write it out, I can do when the Saints go marching in. I mean, they write out the whole solo. I've done it with my community band. 10,000 audience members at 4th of July, but I'm like, if it just had chord progressions and said fill it, I'd be like,
No.
you can have it, Bob. Like, because Bob probably plays in every, jazz band in the community. I'm like, I know when to white flag it. Nope, give me an opera. You can have all the jazz stuff.
Funny.
That's
So
great.
are they doing another?
Yeah, so there's another interview right now. This is James Bain.
And then is there another number? Is there?
And
another-
there's one more piece.
Okay.
And so how was this, honoree? Tell us about him.
So,
Exoneree.
yeah.
Honorary exoneree.
So, this particular one was, it was because of the way he was dressed. He had an alibi, a complete rock solid alibi, but they convinced the witness that the person was dressed like this particular guy, and so she just, got really close to that idea and said, yeah, it's gotta be this guy, it's gotta be this guy. And he was accused of rape, which he didn't do. He was in his house with his mom and girlfriend, and the girlfriend was dating the prosecutor and
Oh dear.
got him arrested.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
yeah, it's a terrible story. And he's again just like such a happy, I wish you could have seen Dean's interview. He's just so happy. And then the next one that's coming, Edward, the same way. Edward was just like, my mom, I love my mom. She's amazing. Because the next one, the rest of the family kind of abandoned him when he was arrested. And the mom stood by him the whole time and said, no, he didn't do it. I know he didn't do it. He couldn't possibly have done it. And she stuck by him the whole time. And it was her that went to the Innocence Project and said, "You gotta get my son out," and he just got released. Like
How
it's been
long
less
was he
than
there?
6 months. 27 years.
Jeez.
Oh,
27
So
years.
do you prefer to sing or to play?
I mean, I'm a horn player. I've done that most of my life. The singing is just, like I said, something I do for me.
You have a beautiful voice. You should sing
Thank
more.
you. It's for me. I enjoy doing it, and I don't, the reaction of the audience is not important. I don't think about being accurate. I just think about, the emotion, getting the emotion out. And I do kind of the same thing with horn, but I'm a little more, connected to
But you're a cello player too,
Nope.
aren't you?
horn.
Ah,
That's the only instrument I play.
And she dances too.
tango.
I can dance a tango.
Yes.
In this dress, I got a nice little slip there for all the footwork.
I'm waiting to see what she's gonna do next season. Every season she like has another skill that she does.
As long as she's doing it, not us.
What?
Yeah, there you go.
One time she came in, she's like, "Do you guys think you'd like to sing?" And we're like,
I know, I know.
I can sing. I've been a tenor. I couldn't do an alto voice. I've always been in the lower range. I go through a drive-through and they're like, "Okay, sir, pull up." And I was like, "I'm not a sir." So maybe in the morning when I wake up, I might sound a little manly, but I'm like, this is a female voice. So I'm like, yeah, I could sing as long as it's not solo. But
Cool.
Myrna's
So
like, no, I'm
Well,
not singing.
I mean, I wouldn't mind singing a solo, but I don't want to sing the harmonies. I don't like being in a chorus.
Actually, the three of you singing would be something. That would be really something.
We will rest a while, guys.
What?
Yeah.
We will
It-
rest
I mean,
a
it
while.
would. It would be
We
such
will
a
rest
selling
a
point.
while. Yeah.
We've been pretty open to doing stuff. I mean, we dress up in costume.
It seems like you are.
Yes, we
Go
do.
for it. Why not? Why not go
For our
it?
children's programs, we dress up. They do superheroes, so they're both like with their capes and magical blue suits on. And last week we were
Oh my God.
cowgirls and had our cowboy hats and our boots and our plaid shirts. And then I looked like a milkmaid with my outfit. I had a little bonnet kind of thing on and a apron. It was supposed to be like a farmer from, was it turn of the century, 19?
Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So she's got us always dressing up in some.
Oh, that's
You should
Yeah,
go on
it's
our
gizmos.
website. We have mermaid costumes, like real mermaid costumes that are really cool.
That's a condo act, though. I mean, you could get paid some very good money for doing that.
Yeah.
You should. Really, why not? You're gonna do it, right? You're gonna perform. And you're fabulous, so
Thank
you
you.
don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah,
All you
those.
do is do a video and you already got that all together.
Right.
Yeah, the costume programs are for our children, ILUMA, the intergenerational literacy using music and art. And so there's scripted, like she has storyboards, writes, basically taking what is a fairy tale, but then what its original version was, and making it more user-friendly, because sometimes they have very tragic endings. So she'll turn them into like happier
Happy
stories, but it's really,
Dies at the end of my story.
yeah, nobody dies at the end of her stories, and she really likes to celebrate the female heroine, not just like damsel in distress kind of story.
That's cool.
And then they have to kind of listen to the directions, so she'll describe, somebody doing something, but she talked about the yellow house with the brown roof and the green trees. And so if the kids are paying attention, or even the elderly senior programs that we work with, if they're paying attention, they'll pick up their blue, yellow crayon, green crayon, and they'll color what she
Right.
described. And so that's how we gauge their success.
I watched one of your programs that you did back here
Oh,
this past summer, and it was great how you did that.
so the one
Yeah.
with the deaf
Yeah.
children?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great.
yeah,
Oh, wonderful.
that was a really
Yeah.
class.
That
We
was
have a
fun.
lot of fun.
But
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the three of you, just putting together. I think it would be a hoot. You guys should do
To
it.
sing.
Really, we'll take a picture.
Just give me the low voice. Whatever. If you go home and are inspired tonight, just give me like.
We're getting ready to do
It has
that.
to be a Disney
Oh,
princess
they're getting
song
ready to
or
go back
something.
on.
It would be a hoot. I mean, really. I mean, right now, obviously, the time is terrible,
Right.
but it's gonna come around. We're gonna get healed. We're gonna be okay.
I like singing.
I used to
You
sing
like
the
singing.
Sound of Music
like
when I was a
singing. Yeah,
little
they
girl.
Why not do it?
I think judgment.
What?
Like if we sing and then somebody's gonna listen, everybody's a critic.
No.
Like I posted.
I just hate them to say that stuff.
People are less of a critic than you think.
I know.
They mostly wanna be entertained, and if you
Yeah.
can entertain, which you already have that down, then that's all you really have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do.
That would be fun, we should
That's,
sing
I'm
a
just gonna-
classical piece.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do warm-ups on the drive home.
Yeah, so much fun though,
My
why
daughter's
not?
been taking voice lessons. I'll be like, can I just sit in behind you? And, you know,
And that you're a tenor, I mean, really, that's special,
I like singing the tenor.
yeah,
Even at church, you know, if I'm playing transposing a part, I'll always pull up the tenor part.
Yeah.
You know, play it on clarinet, because I can relate to that voice, that timbre.
I've always had
melody?
trouble with that.
No.
I can't do a tenor, I can do, alto, I'm an alto, and so alto is fine, as long as it's in the G cup, I'm
Yeah, even alto
Don't
is
put me in
like
the bottom,
right on the edge of my comfort.
yeah.
I remember my 6th grade music teacher forced us to sing a double high C,
Yeah.
like the C above the staff. And the day I did that,
Oh
like
my god.
her final concert in 6th grade, I was like, yes, I did it.
You
And then
did
I
it?
never did it again.
Oh my gosh.
I never wanted to do it again. I'm like, what's the point of it? She made us do it over and over again until my voice just did it.
So now you're never gonna forget that note, right? You can sing a C on demand.
No,
No?
no, not at all.
Well,
I'd have to hear the color of the clarinet, and then I'd be like, okay, I know what that is. But voice, no.
It takes a lot of warm up, you really have to protect it
Yeah.
and nurture it.
When I sit in my car, when I'm playing in the orchestra, I'll play play symphony, and I'll sing my part to practice.
Oh, good.
Oh,
And I'll
wow.
practice like different tonguing, to see which one, what I wanna do. and different
Oh,
things
Do you
like
sing
that.
in your lessons?
What?
Do you sing parts in your lessons to your students? Because I'll sing to them like,
I sometimes.
I catch myself singing
Yeah.
quite a lot.
I sing, or I play for them, or I have them sing, it depends on what it is, but I mean, singing is really important.
If you can sing it, you can play it.
That's
Right.
why I started singing, because I was singing my lessons, and I'm like, I'm not as bad at this, I could do it.
Mhm.
And what would you consider yourself? What would you consider yourself, like alto, first soprano?
I'm a
second-
high alto.
High alto. So
I'd rather be a soprano, but I can't hit the highest notes, and I can't hit the lowest notes of the alto, so I'm in the middle
in the
there.
middle.
Would that be a mezzo? Like a mezzo
I
soprano?
guess I'm like a mezzo, I don't know.
So that's a nice
But in
combination.
chorus, they would give me alto 2 or alto 1. I hated that. I wanted to be a soprano. That's why I don't want to sing in the chorus. So if you write a part and you give me an alto part, you could just forget it. I have to sing the melody. I can't. I don't know.
So sing,
Yeah.
sing something while we're waiting.
Oh no, I can't. Not now. No.
We have like a minute to go, I just saved you, Ray.
Saved by the bell.
You can sing.
Saved by the.
I'm
the
gonna grab my
glass.
bag. I know.
Huh?
So that's not fair, they haven't had any wine.
No.
What
You
did
can
she
sing the
say?
minute waltz.
Right.
I can't
Why
play
don't
the
you
minute
sing?
Oh,
waltz.
it's okay.
What do you like to sing?
I like to sing, more
Right,
like
we're
pop music.
transitioning to
Okay.
something.
I sang with the orchestra for a long time,
Oh, which one?
for the Boca Raton Orchestra.
I just want to say a few
And then
things about
my husband was a performer.
James before we moved forward. James, one of the great cases that we worked on, it was wrongfully convicted in 1974. If you can imagine that, of a rape of a little boy in Bartow in Polk County, Florida. And Richard Nixon was still the president before he resigned when James got wrongfully convicted. He fought to get any custody in his case and kept getting denied. And we came in the case in 2009, and in a matter of 8 months he was coming in, we were able to get DNA testing and prove his innocence and exonerate him. And after 35 years of wrongful incarceration, he came out to Barack Obama being the president of the United States in December 2009. James is a great advocate for the wrongfully convicted. He talks to all kinds of civic groups, and he particularly likes talking to high school kids and middle school kids about the issues of wrongful convictions. And he lives in Tampa, Florida now with his wife and his 2 kids. So I'm so glad that you got an opportunity to talk to him.
I had a wonderful time talking with him, and what was interesting about my conversation with him is that he wanted to talk about current events. He was really interested in what was going on today, especially during the pandemic.
This is our conversations all the time. He's an incessant news watcher, and that's kind of how he tracked time when he was in prison.
Sure, thank you, Seth. So, this next exoneree was recently exonerated and was not part of our original concert that happened in February. But as soon as I heard his story, immediately I thought of a particular composer. Chiquinha Gonzaga, whose real name is Francisca Edwiges Nieves Gonzaga, with the Chiquinha meaning short girl, was a Brazilian composer. She was a mestizo, meaning that one of her parents was white and the other of her parents was black. This was just around the time before Brazil got independence, where it was heavily occupied by the Portuguese. And I connected her story to Edward's because of the fact that it was her mother that stood up for her when everything went south, and really no one else in the family did. And this was, of course, partially because she was the half sister of the rest of her siblings, since her mother was actually her father's enslaved domestic worker. But Edward, as you're going to hear, is very connected to his mother, and we also chose this piece because it was performed on our concert called the Mother's Day Concert for Climate Change. So we had that connection with mothers. I am a mother, and you'll hear his story about how his mother was just instrumental in getting him out of jail and has just been the guiding light in his entire existence. So Chiquinha Gonzaga was arrested for writing a piece of music against the new government. She was one of the rebels. She was a suffragist. She was always on the cutting edge. She was even talking about climate change back in the 1800s. And she was arrested, but her music was so popular that they couldn't hold her in jail. You know, like you see this happen today, where a celebrity doesn't stay in jail as long as other people do because there's outrage over the celebrity being in jail when there's not outrage over someone who's wrongfully convicted. When she was 16, her father married her to a naval officer who beat her, and she left him, and this caused the rift in the family. And her mother sort of helped her get on her feet. She started writing music, and she would write her choros, which is a type of Brazilian dance, and sell them on the street. But she didn't use that money for herself. She would use that money to free other enslaved mestizos. And it's that same just connection again to Edward, where he's just such a kind and generous person that he isn't looking to make $1 million off of his experience. He is just grateful to be able to create his art, and he doesn't need to share with anyone but himself and his mother, and we are hoping to put him into our program that we started a couple of years ago, the Emerging Artists Coalition, to kind of get his artwork out there because it's incredible, and you're going to get to see, either before or after the interview, you're going to get to see some of his artwork, and we're going to turn him into the next great artist, the best that we can.
So, Edward was wrongfully convicted of a rape of a little girl in 1986 in Jacksonville, Florida. As it turns out, we were able to figure out that it was actually his brother who committed the crime. He looked like his brother, he was misidentified. This is a really interesting case because that child became an adult, and that now adult victim, she helped us exonerate Edward and prove his innocence. And so she was instrumental in us gaining release after 33 years of wrongful incarceration last year in June 2018. So I'm just so glad that you had an opportunity to talk. You're gonna have an opportunity to talk with Edward. And but before we do that, we'll go to the piece of music. Can you hear it?
So the piece is called Atraente, which means attractive, and it's by the mestizo Brazilian composer Chiquinha Gonzaga.
Thank you.
Let me introduce the members of the South Florida Chamber Ensemble. On the flute, Myrna. On the clarinet, Christine Pascual Fernandez. And you all know me already, so I'm just going to move over for the introduction.
South Florida Chamber Ensemble.
So you gotta schedule this for the bell hour,
Absolutely, yes, yep.
Yeah, by the way.
100%.
17 minutes.
My clarinet just peed all over me.
Oh,
I like came out the front, no.
I know.
Are they?
You're done though, right? Are you
I
done?
think we're done, right? Are we done?
We're done
Yeah,
playing.
favorite side of the state?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll do the interview and then I'll just close. That's why.
So we can start packing up?
Yeah.
Do you know,
I mean, unless,
when
I
I
don't know
was
if
a
they
kid,
want you to, they're
let's
gonna
go back
show you
60
guys at
years
the end or.
I was 21,
Should
22.
we leave our instruments out there just in case?
Just wait then, please.
That's fine.
I go back
We'll
many
see,
years.
they're like telling me in
When I
the
was
chat.
15 years old,
Yeah, yeah.
there's a radio program that you call in with a song. You wing dances.
That was fun. I listened to
So I
that
called
this
it
afternoon.
Arthur
I
Murray Dance
listened,
Studio.
before I
And I
came
won
here,
4 dance
I
lessons.
listened to the recording that we did on the radio.
I was
with
the youngest
it.
of 4 kids. My boys, my
And
brothers were.
It's just
Like
so
my
hard to
channel.
play, like it's so, cause I'm like in the bass and the bass and the bass and I have to jump
But
with
at
the
every,
melody.
since
It's
that,
just
at
hard
every
to-
event,
Especially when I'm
the
cold,
family.
you know, cause I
Before
come and have to
Bash Boys,
play
always
and I'm
up
like
for dance.
cold and I'm like flat.
So,
and
this
I'm
is
like-
like, I've
Well,
been
this
dancing.
one, is a melody.
When I was 22 years old, 20.
The melody's in a normal range, right? It's just the low stuff
No,
in this.
Went to a dance.
Ball.
Right.
Because I have to play
Teaching dance.
both parts of the bass
Mostly
line, I have to
jitterbug
play
was
the,
my
you know,
favorite thing.
'cause there's one note that just goes
But she's
da,
kind of
da, all the way across, and then I have to get the rhythm
That's my
figure.
favorite thing.
Well, I was just gonna say,
That's
like,
just
for
seductive.
this one, if you ever wanted to rearrange it for bass clarinet,
What's
and then you guys just swap the melody,
Myrna.
then I could try doing that, so we actually
Myrna.
get.
When I was very, very young, in my early 20s, I'm from Montreal originally, and I used to love to dance. So I went to work at a dance studio, and they taught me how to do the tango. And that to me is the most seductive, most gorgeous, sexy dance ever. I mean, there's the samba, the rumba, the tango. Oh my God.
I know, I married my dance instructor.
I mean, it's just the
I'm
most-
currently divorced from him now,
The
but.
sexiest dance ever.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. Couldn't help myself.
We have a bit of wine, does anybody care for any?
No,
No,
thank
thank
you.
you. No.
Damn.
You
No,
can
I
still
think
open it.
you should have another glass. Go ahead.
So do you still dance?
I haven't had anyone to dance with, but I'm doing the online dating, and so, you know, I always pick the Hispanic people, or at least somebody foreign, and they're always like, oh, teach me, but I'm like, okay, we need a hazmat suit. I was like, because we're way too close together in the tango for any type of social distancing,
You know,
baskets,
in
anything.
Deerfield Beach on Federal Highway, there's a dance studio on the second floor of one of these strip centers. I think where not Brusco's, where beyond these pizzas,
Oh, okay.
and there's a dance studio upstairs. You know, over the years, I mean, I'm 82 years young right now, but I was just thinking it would be so great to go back and just do a little ballroom dancing and dance theater.
And remember you
Could you
told me
do it?
that
Do you think
there's
Uh,
so many
I'd
different,
like to go back.
so many particularities because it has to be the right kind
Yeah.
of floor.
You have to have, you have to have the right kind of shoe, the right kind of flooring, the right kind of dress. Because there's a lot of movements where the legs move, so like I
You
can,
get ready, like,
and you need to have
so
some
my-
pull.
I'll
my
bet you
nephew
miss that.
has a
I really
Canada,
do.
Canada, so
Oh,
my
gosh.
family
Yeah.
places here.
We have a great,
My nephew has a
really
place
nice
in
floor
Florida.
over it.
They have a
I need a
50
partner.
Yeah.
Although I did a pandemic program
So
where I
you
did
invited-
tango
you
without a
invited
partner.
me down, and my
But the
niece-
thing is, when you do the tango, you're leaning against them, so you're like, you're here, and they're pushing back at you so you don't fall. So like, I'm trying to do it, and I'm like falling to the side. So I'm like, oh, my body weight is where it's supposed to be, but there's nobody there to push
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to do without a partner. It's like,
Like,
you're like literally just like hugging.
Yeah.
That's why it's called the tango embrace, because you're literally
So we
hugging
used
the
to go
partner.
dancing together. We used to
And you're
double
holding
date
each other
together.
up.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
loved to dance.
That could work.
We
But
get
it's
to
it's
dance.
an equal dance, which is really nice. Like
It was,
you could, they're leading, but you can stop and be like, no, dude, I'm gonna do a little something over here, and then you can go back to your moves. So
the rumba is
it's kind of push and pull. It is.
They
It's
know
a very
where
beautiful
it's
dance.
do you think we can
We're gonna
take a
take a
picture
picture while we're
now?
waiting.
while we have a moment?
Pictures?
Did you take
Yeah.
pictures? All our cameras are
Oh,
being
yeah.
occupied
Well,
there.
but did we get like, because
that's
we
really
need
nice.
like, you know, like not staged.
Well,
Well,
I wanna get at least one with our instruments.
can we get a staged photo and then maybe with us standing on the stage making believe we're playing? Because we
Okay.
need them for press. Just,
Okay.
so we'll stand, first we'll
Oh.
stand here. Or
Okay.
what's a better background in this house where we could stand?
You should go in the middle.
Yeah,
It always looks very fun.
and it's,
Perfect
only if
color.
my forehead isn't glowing from the lights.
You maybe step forward a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
step
yeah.
forward.
Okay.
How should we be standing? It's hard for us to tell.
Right, but you should face
Okay,
forward,
forward.
and then we should be
Like
in a little
this?
bit, yeah. Which camera are we looking at?
Just three. We had a bunch. All right, I'm gonna do a little close up. Oh,
If you hold it up over the center, like in the middle, it would make our chins nice.
What?
Just look forward.
there's a good one.
Thank you.
Very nice. Excellent. Okay.
All right, and then you want us
Thank you.
playing?
Yeah, just something that looks like we're
All right.
just playing your most glorious whole note.
I don't know. The first note of the Beethoven's chorus.
Yeah, Beethoven is so beautiful. How
It
do people
is.
not like that? I mean,
It should make
it's
us look beautiful.
That's what I want to do when I try to write us in parts, is to get that fluidity in our
All right, so the
on the
first
Beethoven.
note.
It's
Yeah.
a B.
Okay.
I hope you weren't recording that. I was just.
It was the
I was
Charles Ives
playing
version of Beethoven.
I thought we were just playing the first note and then like.
No! All right, thank you.
You weren't videoing, you were taking stills there, right?
Just stills,
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't real.
That was, thank you so much for being here.
Oh,
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
for having
For
us.
this, because if not, it would have been in my living room with my two boys like fighting in
Yeah.
front, like
Anytime.
stealing the show.
Thank you, it was so much
Anytime.
fun,
Yeah.
very
Good.
peaceful.
Oh, we'll see you again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank
So,
you. We're playing across the street.
Do you, for setting it, do you wanna, well, I can't airdrop because my phone's being used.
They just bumped me out. I'm supposed to talk at the end.
Oh, they kicked you out?
So what are your names, the flutist, what is your name?
My name's Poppy.
Poppy?
Uh-huh.
And
You
who-
can always talk,
Who was your husband?
you can always talk
My
back at
husband's
the
name is
camera.
Will Mercier.
And you played
I
with
played
which
with
symphony?
him, and I played, I was a professional entertainer most of my life.
Wow.
And then we played all over. And then, when I moved to Florida, that's when I played with the Pops. And sang with Pops.
Yeah, we lost.
I didn't know that, Poppy.
Which pop?
Boca Pops, Boca Raton Pops.
Does it still exist?
No,
Yeah,
honest to
right.
God, no, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it was cool, it was fun.
Wow.
And Charlie Colello actually was conducted when I was, still singing with him. So it was fun.
So,
We're gonna do a.
tell
the
him
beach pop.
who he is. Tell him who he is.
Oh, Charlie Colello was, well, he still is. He's a composer, producer. He did like the Four Seasons. He was a Four Season. He did Sinatra. He did all those kind of things.
Wow.
So, and he's a neighbor too. He's part of.
Wait,
he's
you
right
all
across
live
the
here?
river.
You live on this block, all of you?
No, we're in Deerfield.
Oh.
She's in Boca.
Oh.
I'm in Boca, but I'm just like right across the line.
Yeah. But, so, we took over the Butler House across the street,
Right.
so
This is a ring
for,
light.
come and tell
A ring
them,
light.
grant fulfillment, we have
So
to do
if
some
you go on the other
programs.
side,
And
You'll see,
for one of the
um,
programs, we did an interview with Charles, and he talked about what he had done and his accomplishments. So it was all part of
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
being.
careful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's a ring
Happy?
light.
Yeah, well, what I'm gonna do is I'll connect you.
They're done with you guys.
I'll connect you all
Oh,
with the
back up?
video feed.
It's
Okay.
just gonna be like question and answer.
Yeah, so this,
So,
like if I were doing a
that's the better
videotape,
way
I
to
could
do it.
change the setting,
Mira, and then get your email addresses
Yeah.
and we'll
Thank you.
We'll get
to
you
make it
connected.
less bright, like change colors.
you're with us.
See how it's changing?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when we do
Yeah.
at-home
Well, we're
videos,
with you.
Yeah.
I can change the settings and then it
Because
just makes me
we're
like,
trying to open this
illuminate.
cultural center,
but it
which
came with
is
just the ring light and the phone mount.
It's like,
And then the tripod is like any general tripod. We just
Oh,
add it
wow.
on. Now this one has a mic
Beautiful.
Yeah.
yes.
and its own little tripod, and it has like